Brought to you by Sunbeam, the best electric appliances made. The deluxe Sunbeam Mixmaster food mixer, the beautiful Sunbeam automatic percolator, and the new Sunbeam radiant control toaster. Now, let's all play What's My Line?
And now let's meet our award-winning What's My Line panel. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in papers from coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
We're very happy to have as our guest panelist this evening a star of television whose own show celebrates its 5th year on the air next week. The Bob Cummings Show is the name of the show, and the name of the star is Bob Cummings.
And one of the most delightful and charming ladies of stage, screen, radio, television, and kitchen, and I say it with feeling, Miss Arlene Francis, ladies and gentlemen.
Once more, thank you. And now a gentleman whose reviews in the new Broadway hit The Rivalry were so brilliant that I have to devote the rest of my life putting these reviews to music, Mr. Martin Gabel.
On my left, one of television's most brilliant ornaments, Mr. John Charles Daly.
Thank you, Martin, and ladies and gentlemen. And welcome to What's My Line. I think once again tonight we have a very good prospect of giving the panel a very difficult time, which is, after all, our first objective on What's My Line. Some nice occupations and some nicer people who brought them here to the theater. We'll also have a famous mystery guest before the distinguished panel a little bit later in the show, and we'll meet our first contestant in just one. Let's meet our first contestant. Will you come in and sign in, please? Helen P. Mann. I would like to believe that all that warm applause was for me, but I'm afraid it isn't. Where are you from?
I believe I was born in the same city that you were, John.
Johannesburg?
Johannesburg? No. Well, my family's a Boston family. It sounds like you come from Boston. Is that right?
Well, it's true.
Is that where you were born in Boston?
Yes.
Well, that's wonderful. And the panel?
Hello?
And would you join me over here, please?
What is it, man?
And now, do you know how we keep score on this program?
Yes, I do, John.
All right, fine. Then let's let everybody in the audience here in the theater and the folks who are at home know exactly what your line is, shall we? All right, panel. Our guest is, as you have seen, Helen Mann. I will tell you that she is salaried, and let's begin the general questioning with Miss Kilgallen.
John, may I first ask if there is any significance to be attached to the fact that you didn't ask your usual question about the marital status of our charming guest?
No, it's Mrs. Mann, I believe, is it not? Yes. No significance at all. I just forgot it, Dorothy.
Mrs. Mann, have you anything at all to do with the world of amusement or entertainment?
No.
1 down and 9 to go. Bob Cummings.
Yes, Mrs. Mann, do you... Gee, I hope this keeps up. Do you deal in any kind of services?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Do you work for a profit-making organization, or do you make a profit from what you do?
Yes.
You're salaried, naturally, I hope you... in the services which you render, is it necessary for you to come into any kind of bodily contact with your clients?
No.
No. 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
Mrs. Mann. Mrs. Mann. If ever a girl had the wrong name. Mrs. Mann, is there any product connected with what you do?
Yes,
In
I
any
think
way?
we'd have to agree there is a product connected with what Mrs. Mann does, yes.
Do you in your job work out of doors at all, Mrs. Mann?
No.
That's 3 down and 7 to go. Martin Gabel.
Your clients come to you, Mrs. Mann?
I think in the larger sense, because I want to hear, to give you the benefit of all doubts. In the larger sense, we would have to answer that question, no. That's 4 down and
Thank you,
6 to
John.
go, Miss Kilgallen.
Well, then, do you depart from some central place and go to various other places? No.
That's 5 down and 5 to go, Bob Cummings.
I don't think she works.
Do your customers, if I may call them customers, do they derive some physical or mental benefit after you have seen them?
Mrs. Mann says she's lost. I'm not. You'll get a no. That's 6 down and 4 to go, Miss Francis.
Well, perhaps we ought to work on the product a little bit, Mrs. Mann. Is it a useful product that you have to do with?
I would say that...
If you wanted it would
we
be,
will
huh?
hope that... yes, I would think. We hope it was useful. Mm-hmm.
Is it a product that might be easily seen?
Yes.
Is it a product that you can hold in your hand?
No.
No, that's 7 down and 3 to go, Mr. Gabel.
Mrs. Mann, to start from a slightly different tack.
That's my boy. Attack.
Am I right in thinking that, in view of your suntan, that you don't do your work in Boston?
True.
Do you acquire your sunburn in the course of your work?
No.
8 down and 2 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
And she doesn't go from one place to another. Well, all right. Do you have anything to do with animals? No.
9 down and 1 to go, Mr. Cummings.
Do you, in the course of your services which you render, do you have any type of mechanical chore to commit? I mean, do you do anything like that?
Not particularly.
No, with your permission, we will very generally and very broadly will admit that there is what you might describe as a mechanical chore.
Squeezes oranges.
Well, does this mechanical chore have anything to do with the business of transportation?
No.
No.
Well, no, I guess not. That's 10 down and no more to go. I'm going to quit. Actually, this is going to surprise you. Mrs. Mann tracks missiles at Cape Canaveral.
John, there are a certain number of highly placed military gentlemen sitting in the first row of our audience here tonight. You suppose it's significant?
Well, I don't think either one of them could be described as a missile, though.
No, but they could be tracked.
Now, and to answer one...
Incidentally, would that be a non-profit?
Yes,
John?
because actually Mrs. Mann works for the Radio Corporation of America, which under contract has a missile tracking unit at Cape Canaveral, as Pan American, for instance, is the housekeeping unit
They
at
get
Cape
it
Canaveral.
everywhere. That's
Yes,
true.
indeed.
Yes.
And it's wonderful. I must say that Mrs. Mann holds an A.B. and also, I believe, a master's degree in science, and is a fine scientist, on top of being a very beautiful young lady.
Thank you, John.
I wish we had more scientists. I mean, This actually, it's fascinating that Mrs. Mann has another responsibility, which is to determine the exact location of a nose cone after we fire a missile. And as you know, former...
I think she's our answer to Russia, don't you think?
Yes, sir. If we had a few more scientists like that, we'd make those Russians hum. Now let's see what you can do with the... That was a difficult one, panel. I don't think you ought to feel too badly about it, but we'll try it again. Let's see what we can do with the second challenger. Will you come in and sign in, please? Helen? Helen Mitchell, right? Is it Miss or Mrs.?
Mrs.
Mrs. Mitchell, where do you come from?
Irwin, Pennsylvania.
Irwin, Pennsylvania.
That's right.
Nice to have you with us. Mrs. Mitchell, the panel. Panel.
Hello.
Will you join me over here, please? Mrs. Mitchell, do you know how we keep score on
Yes,
What's
I
My
do.
Line? In that event, we'll let the folks here in the theater and those at home know exactly what your line is. All right? Panel, Mrs. Mitchell is self-employed, and let's begin the general questioning with Stephen Douglas. Martin Gabel.
Mrs. Mitchell, is there a product connected with what you do?
Yes, there is.
Is it something that I could use?
Yes.
Is it something that is more suitable for men than women?
Not necessarily.
1 down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
And Mrs. Mitchell, could I use it too?
Yes.
Is it something that would be found in the home ever?
Yes.
Yes, I think you could say, in a manner of speaking, it could be found in the home.
But it could be found outside the home too.
Yes.
Frequently?
Yes.
Does this ever move around?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cummings.
Let's move around. Is this object manufactured of metal?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
In the division of animal, vegetable, and mineral, would it be vegetable?
No.
4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Gabel.
Would it be animal?
No.
5 down and 5 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Unlucky night.
Well, what did Bob get a no on?
He got a no on an animal somewhere.
No, metal.
No, on metal.
Metal.
No,
I was
metal.
on my metal. Yeah.
It's down to
But it
mineral,
might be
Dorothy.
another mineral.
Well, all right. Is it in the division of mineral?
Yes.
Mineral, but not metal.
The coal
That's
regions.
very
up there,
interesting.
Dorothy.
Is it squishy or soft or pliable rather than hard?
No.
6 down and 4 to go, Mr. Cummings.
Is this product useful?
Yes.
If Miss Mitchell is a coal miner, I'm quitting, John.
Can the product in any sense be termed decorative?
No.
No. 7 down and 3 to go, Miss Francis.
Is this material, this mineral, whatever it is it used in any way in the construction of a home?
Yes.
Might it be? Is it something that is mined?
I would think we'd have to say no here. That's 8 down and 2 to go, although that, you know, when you get down to fundamentals, you've now discovered that it has a mineral origin, and therefore its origin may be out of a mining venture. Still, the product we're talking about, you could not mine as it is now presented to the public.
Thanks a lot.
Mr. Gabel.
In that sense, you would make a distinction between quarrying and mining, John.
I did not seek, really, Martin, to make any distinction at all, except I did not want you to believe that we were dealing in an area which would lead us, and properly so, to feel that we were delinquent in allowing you to believe that it was mine.
John, I know you have a very nice sense of fairness.
You do?
Is it quarried?
Is it quarried? You mean, well, I think I must give you the same answer. It's perfectly possible here that dealing with the original product from which all other things stem, there might be some quarrying, but we cannot agree that the product with which our guest is identified can, in its entirety and its present state, be
I'm
quoted.
hip, Dad.
You got it. 9 down and 1 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Well, I don't wish to get involved with the original product. I would like to discuss the end product. When this is connected with a house, is it in a particular place, usually? More often than in lots of places.
Well, let us say that in the construction of a house, there would be a predetermination of its location, and in that place you would find it.
Precisely what I meant. Mrs. Mitchell... No, not necessarily. I was thinking of the Mrs. Mitchell, do you have in your job some part in placing it where it ultimately is put in the house?
No.
That's 10 down and no more to go. Mrs. Mitchell sells sewer pipe. And I would like to have you know that Mrs. Mitchell owns her own company in Irwin, Pennsylvania, the Outlet Pipe Company.
I never knew a girl that owned her own sewer pipe before.
A girl plumber.
It is clay and not metal.
Yes, that's right.
Your particular sewer pipe.
Yes.
Ours is metal.
Mrs. Mitchell, thank you for helping us to puzzle the panel again. Nice to have you with us. And now we'll meet tonight's mystery guest in just a moment. But first, here is a message from our sponsor. We come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery guest, for which I asked my friends on the panel to blindfold themselves. Blindfolds all in place, panel? Mm-hmm. Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? All right, panel, as you know, in every instance, in the case of our mystery guest, you ask one question at a time, moving clockwise, and we'll begin it all with Bob Cummings.
Are you connected with the theatrical world in any way?
Yes.
Miss Francis?
Would you be part of the motion picture world?
Yes.
Mr. Gabel?
Do you sing?
Yes.
Miss Kilgallen?
When you sing, do you sing pop songs rather than operatic?
What is pop? Qu'est-ce que c'est pop song?
Popular music rather than operatic music. I think here, actually, Miss Dorothy, I would waive the question and ask you to give another one, because this is not necessarily relevant.
This lady is a foreigner, I can tell you that. She doesn't know what pop songs are.
It might be terribly relevant to me, John, but that's all right.
Well, I mean, if you want to persist with a question, we'll
No.
give you a nice big fat no, and you can pass it by, Mr. Cummings.
Do you have a particular style of singing that would be readily recognized by the American public?
No.
That's 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
Are you in a picture that is already or is about to be released?
Yes.
Mr. Gabel.
Are you appearing in New York at the present time, anywhere? Professionally, that is.
You mean in person?
Yes.
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Is your origin Middle European?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings.
Are you from France?
No.
4 down, 6 to go, Miss Francis.
Well, there is a picture about to be released called The Hanging Tree, and I know you are not Gary Cooper. Could you be Maria Schell?
Yes. beautiful. You did beautiful. But now, Martin, you will see, Miss Schell was completely thrown by Pop.
Pop.
What is Pop?
It narrowed the area of speculation, yes.
Miss Schell probably thought that meant father's music. Pop music.
No, but she said I tried so hard. I think she did wonderfully. If it hadn't been for that...
Anyway, the important thing is that Miss Schell is really an enchanting actress, and we all look forward to seeing her.
The hanging tree is already opened at the Roxy, and needless to say, has, with Mr. Cooper and yourself, got off to what we call a missile start. It's shooting up in the sky. But you're going to do For Whom the Bells Toll, I believe, too.
Yes, we are doing a Playhouse 90.
Ah, wonderful.
2 Playhouse 90 on one Thursday, and the next Thursday the
You have a
other
marvelous cast in that, Miss Schell.
Wonderful.
Eli Wallach and Jason Robards and Nicky Persoff. They're all,
And
man
Maureen
for man,
Stapleton.
one of the greatest casts I've ever heard assembled.
We really have. I feel desperately happy.
Ah, wonderful.
And we know it's going to be a big success. Thank you
Thank you
for
so
coming
much.
to join us. Nice to meet you. Well, that was a very good recovery panel, I must say. You've done well with it, so we'll have another contestant after this. Happily, we have time for another contestant. Will you come in and sign in, please? Right there. John? John Mo Downey, is that right? I asked Mr. Mo Downey if they called him John or Jack. He says it doesn't make any matter. Any kind. Where are you from?
Originally Mount Carmel, Pennsylvania.
Where are you living now?
Trenton, New Jersey.
Trenton, New Jersey. Mr. Mo Downey, the panel.
How do you do?
Come on over and join me, please. You know how we keep score, Mr. Mo Downey? Yes, sir. Good. Then let's let the folks in the theater and those at home know exactly what your line is. All righty, panel. Mr. Mo Downey is salaried, and let's begin the general questioning with Arlene Francis.
Mr. Muldowney, do you work for a profit-making organization?
Yes, ma'am.
You deal in services?
No, ma'am.
Well, I think, with your permission, Jack, there is a service certainly purveyed to his employer. to
But
that
there is
degree.
also a product connected with what you do, Mr. Muldowney?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it a product that I might use?
Yes, ma'am.
Would I have rather as good a time using it as everybody seems to think?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it a product that men can use too?
Yes, ma'am.
When they use this product, when one uses this product, does one touch it in any way?
Yes, ma'am.
The body?
Now, this presupposes that to utilize a product, you have some degree of contact with it.
You can contact this product in some way, hmm?
But it's necessary in the utilization
Touch.
of it to have some contact with it.
Unwrap it. Uh-huh. Is it anything you would ever give to anybody else?
I don't think so. If me. 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Gabel.
Does the use of this product in some way improve you?
No, Johnson, no. 2 down and 8
Nobody
to go,
else
Mr.
is laughing, John.
Is there anything dangerous about this product if handled improperly?
To an extent.
Is it either poisonous or explosive?
It's poisonous. To an extent.
Is it used in any way for exterminating anything?
Gee, Dorothy, I'm sorry, we just ran out of time. No, I think Dorothy would have got it. Actually, Mr. Mo Downey makes flea powder for the House of Houston. I think you'd have got it. Thank you, Jack. I'm so sorry we didn't have more time. I would note for the record, though we turned all the cards there, it was on a matter of time, and I think Dorothy was on the track and they would have identified the line of our last one. And on this very pleasant note, this is John Daly saying good night, Miss Kilgallen.
Good night, Mr. Daly. Good night, Bob. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much, Dorothy, and good night, Miss Arlene, and thank you for coming.
I was glad to be here. And I don't know why you said you wouldn't give it to anybody else. You'd give it to a dog. Good night, Martin.
Good night, Dale. Good night, John.
Good night, Martin. Next week we're going to have Richard Boone with us and on the panel, and this ought to be a lot of fun. And we've heard a lot from Bennett. He's taking the South by storm. And on that very pleasant thought, thank you all for being with us on What's My Line.
Transportation for contestants on What's My Line is arranged by United Airlines. What's My Line is a CBS television network production in association with Mark Gibson and Bill Todman. This is Hal Sims speaking.